Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Bickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by our own Chaplain McDuffie. Thank you for coming out. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Please approach.
Sir, thank you.
Don't get too close.
Let us pray. Lord, first of all, we just want to say thank you. We don't realize how blessed we are to get up to see another day over and over again. When there are some that can't even get out of bed. Some didn't even rise this morning. But Lord, and then we think about this only one time of the year of Thanksgiving. When every day is Thanksgiving. Every day we wake up as a day of thanksgiving. And Father, sometimes we fail to realize to even give you credit for even waking us up. But we want to be thankful to you today and throughout the course of the rest of this year, because you brought us a long way. You brought us all the way through this year. And you're allowing us to even stand this day. Lord, thank you. When we look all over the county, all over the United States, we see all of the tragedies. But Lord, you've blessed Tarrant County. And we don't take that for granted, Lord. We thank you for that. We thank you for being here for us. We thank you for the provision that you provide for us. And Lord, we just pray that you will continue to keep us centered. Keep us focused on who you are in our lives, that we don't get up on our own. Alarm clocks don't wake us up. Family members don't wake us up. It's only because of the grace of you. So Lord, bless this day. Bless this court. Bless the traveling of each and every individual that will be in the highways and byways. Keep our employees safe and our county safe. Lord, it's in the name of Jesus I pray and ask it all. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Chaplain. You have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one announcement today. That deals with public health. It is item 9G1. This is amendment number 3 to the FY18 Texas Department of State Health Services contract. We're going to ask that we hold that particular item until next week. Also, just a reminder to the court is that since this is the last Tuesday before Thanksgiving, it's our annual Thanksgiving luncheon, which we will have in 504C. I think we'll try to start around noon. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, you have before you the minutes of our special call meeting of November the 18th and our regular meeting of November the 19th.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Under our proclamations and resolutions, Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have some recognition.
I do indeed, and it is a great honor to be able to recognize the Texas Association of County Engineers and Road Administrators Annual County Employee of the Year. That person is Curtis Knowles, the Deputy Director of Tarrant County Precinct 1. We're proud of Curtis and his, almost 40 years of service to Tarrant County Precinct 1. He thinks he's getting ready to retire, but we've got some discussions that still need to be had on that subject. But it is a recognition that is long overdue. And here to present the award is Joseph Jackson, Vice President of the Texas Association of County Engineers and Road Administrators, and Assistant Director of Assistant Engineer in Ellis County. Joseph, go for it.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for having me this morning. It's an honor to be here to present this award to Curtis. Every year at the Tessera Conference, we give out 2 awards. One's the County Engineer of the Year, and the other is the County Road Employee of the Year. And I guess at this time, I'd like to ask Curtis to come forward, if you don't mind, Curtis. And while he's on his way up, a nominee for the County Road Employee of the Year is someone that has shown excellence in performing road work duties, interacting with the public, and furthering employee safety. This individual has demonstrated dedication to county road work policies, started new or improved current county road procedures, and pursued the goals of safe work practices during county roadway maintenance and construction. Eligible candidates for this award are county road supervisors, equipment operators, road hands, road office administrators, or staff. We actually had 4 judges this year from all over the state of Texas, from Bell County, Hays County, Collin County, and Denton County, and they all agreed that Curtis was the award winner this year. So on behalf of Tessera, I'd like to present this to you, Curtis, the County Road Administrator of the Year.
I'd like to ask Kathy Young, Jr., the Director of Field Operations for Tarrant County. Wait a minute, Kurt. Wait. And Curtis's wife, Rexanne. Come on up, Rexanne.
You couldn't get that lazy brother of yours out of bed to come up here and help you?
Now let's have a photo of all of them. Now, Curtis told me he would come this morning as long as he didn't have to speak. Well, Curtis, you have to speak.
Come on back up.
Well,
I told you at least 2 sentences.
Okay. I want to thank Joseph for taking time out of his busy schedule to come present it. I'd like to thank Kathy, all the members of Tessera, and you, Commissioner. I'm deeply honored and humbled, and I do thank you.
Well done, Curtis.
Tarrant County's been served very well by the Knowles family. Curtis certainly, and then Curtis's brother Tommy served in Precinct 3 for a lot of years.
Yeah, I guess Tommy retired 6, 7, 8 years ago.
What, 5 years ago?
5? Yeah.
He's been trying.
Curtis, thank you very much for your service to Tarrant County. Did you move to receive and file that?
Move to receive and file that recognition.
We got a motion to second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus.
Yes. We have an award to our Tarrant County Historical Commission. And this is a very significant award that is presented coming from the Texas Historical Commission, where they recognize counties that have been very active and have a very well-balanced preservation program, which we certainly do here in Tarrant County. And we have a number of members from the Historical Commission who are with us. And let me announce them, and then I'll come down and we'll bring everybody up and take some pictures here in just a moment. We have Jim Hodgkins, Hodgson's the chair. Jim here today? There he is. Clara Holmes and Bob Holmes, isn't it? Have I got this? This says Bombs. That's Holmes, yeah. Okay. Susie McCormick. We have Randy Shipland, Bill Perdue, Stacy Luker, Steve Meyer, Diane Dice, Coletta Strickland, and Florine Henry. Also recognizing Claire and Bob for their traveling Tarrant County exhibit, which has been going around the county. And thank you very much for that. And we will come up front. And I want to move to receive and file this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. If y'all would all come forward. Okay, do we need to move the...
Yes, sir. Let me get that. Just push that.
Now, y'all who are vertically challenged,
Okay,
get up near the front. Can you see everybody? Yes, sir. I'm kind of betting that this lady back here on the back row ain't been seen.
Guys, turn sideways a little bit. That way, maybe, there we go.
Jim, I also want to present the letter from the state. And if you have anything you'd like to say, please feel free to say.
It's just it's a pleasure and an honor for us to serve the community and the county in preserving our rich history here. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think we want to grab another picture. Everybody hold still. We're going to grab another picture.
Her three were a lot faster than Susan's three. Commissioner Johnson, I believe you have a resolution.
I do, Your Honor. It's in recognition of the centennial anniversary of the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office. And if you would read it into the record, please.
Whereas the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office is celebrating the 100th anniversary of its founding, and whereas on October the 19th, 1919, the former County Attorney's Office was abolished and the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office was created by the Texas Legislature, and former teacher Jesse Brown became Tarrant County's first criminal district attorney. Whereas the Tarrant County Criminal District's Attorney Office has led forward-thinking criminal justice advances across our state, having hired the first female assistant criminal district attorney, the first African-American assistant criminal district attorney in the state, having the first open file policy which preceded statutory discovery by 40 years, developing a pretrial diversion program for youthful offenders, and creating standard-setting policies for transparent disclosure for law enforcement, laboratories, and jailhouse witnesses. Whereas 14 criminal district attorneys have led this office since its creation, including Tim Curry, for whom the criminal court building is named, and from its original 9 employees, the office has grown to serve the nation's 15th and the state's 3rd largest county, with more than 340 attorneys, investigators, and support staff. This office has continued to lead with integrity and justice for all residents of Tarrant County. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby today recognize this centennial of the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office. Be it further resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do recognize for appreciation the attorneys, investigators, the support staff who have served and continue to serve the residents of this county with the utmost respect for the law, and witness whereof we have herein to set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 26th day of November 2019.
I move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our criminal district attorney, Sharon Wilson, if you would meet me at the podium, please. Thought I didn't have it with me, didn't you? Congratulations.
Thank you.
100 years.
You've been in
I didn't know you were that long. Congratulations. Any comments, please?
Well, I want to thank the Commissioners Court for your support through the years and for our partnership and our ability to work together as we've addressed the criminal justice issues in Tarrant County. And I really want to appreciate and recognize Commissioner Johnson, because as a friend to my predecessor, Tim Curry, and working with him throughout the years, he has really been, as you all have been, a partner of ours and a person that we could work with and depend on. One of the things that we have done, or asked one of our lawyers to do, which was Vincent Giardino, while we asked him to write a history of the office. And so we have, and the team is here, so Shannon Fletcher, our Chief of Staff, Leslie Hunt, the Chief of the Civil Division, Larry Moore, Chief of Criminal, and our Chief Investigator, Tammy Hughes. I did that right. Why did I just draw a blank? Tammy Hughes. And they have a book for each of you because we thought you might enjoy reading it. So we had a...
Oh, I have mine from the lunch.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you for coming to the luncheon.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun to put that on and for people to just get their remembrances.
Thank you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you.
See you, sir.
I think you'll like it. It's fun. And thank you for the recognition. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval. Consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a public hearing today. Mr. Skinner?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
We are requesting that a public hearing be conducted to consider the assignment of address numbers for 2 properties on Gibson Cemetery Road and Precinct 2. Both of these properties share the same address at 7327. This has caused, as you can imagine, quite a bit of confusion. In fact, we understand the U.S. Postal Service is no longer delivering mail to this address. And so we're proposing that new addresses be assigned to both properties as shown on the map in your court packet.
This is a public hearing, so at this time, I will ask, and I have 2 audience participation forms who wish to speak to this, but I'll take care of these 2, and then if there's anyone else who wishes to speak, if you would, please see right outside the door there, we'll have some forms that you can fill out. So if you'd like to speak and you haven't already filled one out, please go out and receive one of those. The first speaker will be John I believe it's Sheffield Sr. Welcome, sir. If you would please repeat your name and your address.
John Sheffield Sr. This address is 7327 Gibson Cemetery Road, Mansfield, Texas, 76063. Okay. I've been around this property for about 45 years. I live right down the road, about 3 miles. And I purchased 7 acres in December 2013. It was an old sand pit that we used to buy sand from and whatnot. And I worked on it and started filling it back in, and have since built some buildings there for commercial property. I'm developing it. I'm in the process of building more buildings. And right when I got on the property, I was trying to figure out the address and calling everybody and whatnot. And the Taylors are the original owners of the 10-acre property. It was always 7327 for that property, the whole property. In about 2004, Creighton Taylor borrowed money from Mr. Burkham, and Mr. Burkham therefore foreclosed on the property and ended up taking 3.5 acres off to the east side, which the Smithermans purchased from Mr. Burkham. The Smithermans failed to ask for a new address for their property that was platted off at that time. They went on the word of Burkham, which told them just to use 7327, which was incorrect. Mr. Taylor still owned the residing 6.72 acres, and it went on like that all the way till December 2013 when I bought the property. But when I moved in over there, I'd asked the Smithermans, and they said that's their address. And I said, not according to TAD records. I said, it shows here that I'm 7327 and you guys are 7321, which is backwards because the addresses are supposed to go up, not down, and it was just wrong. But they still insisted on using 7327, and we didn't have any problem at that time, just both of us using it. Since then, there's been problems with me getting truck titles and my mail. At first, she would deliver the mail to me. Some things have happened since then. But I've already put suite numbers on all the buildings for 7327. I have 6 electric meters over there. I pulled a stormwater TXR05 and a stormwater TXR15 to the state of Texas. That's all through 7327 Gibson Cemetery Road. I've had a phase 1 environmental done, 151 pages done on the property that shows all the way back to the 40s of this property being 7327. And my request here today is I do want to get all these addresses corrected, and I request to retain 7327 for the property on the back of the property where the stormwater permits reside. I'll work with y'all on reassigning the addresses for the buildings and whatnot, and I definitely don't want to get the addresses bunched up to where there could be some confusion and we'd be back here at some point. Because they changed it. I have a paper here that they'd given me that how they were going to change the addresses, and originally building number 3 showed 7323 and the Smitherman address was going to be 7331. Well, then they changed it to 7323 for that building. They put Smitherman at 7333. So you can already see there could be with 1 digit off, there could be a discrepancy there on the mail or whatever. But my request is to retain the 7327 Gibson Cemetery to go along with what is in the TAD records and along with the state records on the stormwater permit and all of my electric bills and whatnot. Smitherman's electric bills show 7321 as their address for physical property on that property. And that's what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Sheffield.
Next is Misty Smitherman.
Morning. Good morning. I'm Misty Smitherman. As of now, my address is 7327. That's been my address, Gibson Cemetery Road, Mansfield, Texas. That's been my address since we purchased our home in January of 2006. The only address that was listed on the deed to our property with 7327. I'm requesting to retain the use of 7327, as well as 7327B for the residence that's on our same property behind our home, as assigned January 2006. However, as a final option, I am not opposed to the new assignment of 7333 and 7335, with 7327 being permanently withdrawn from address assignment. My father-in-law has more of a sentimental reason because of the address. The 7327 is where his mother lived when she passed away. That's the property that she passed away on. It's also listed on her death certificate as 7327. At the time of her passing in November of 2011, we had 5 generations living on the property at the same time. So it was more than just the address, you know. I suggested whenever Mr. Sheffield purchased his property, when we had our first conversation regarding addresses, which at that time I had no knowledge of a 7321. It hasn't been until here very recently that I was brought aware of the 7321 whenever I received a notice from Tarrant County Appraisal District at the time of me trying to file my homestead exemption. But I suggested to him in 2014 that he request an address be assigned to his property, as 7327 was not going to work for both of us. And at that time, he told me that it wouldn't be an issue because he intended to only use a P.O. box. So from that point forward, you know, I delivered the mail to him on a regular basis. I requested that he put in a mailbox, and he put the mailbox in on the north side of the street, where the mail is delivered on the south side of the street. So whenever I would get his mail, I would walk it across the street at that time and put it in his mailbox. Later, when another company moved into his building, he did finally move his mailbox to the south side of the street with the rest of the mailboxes. And then I continued to, if I ever got his mail, I just transferred it over to the other mailbox. My concern with the new suggestion of address is that Mr. Sheffield is already using the new proposed address of 7323 before it was ever proposed, and I'm concerned with how he would even have knowledge of the 7323 prior to today's hearing. It's unclear how that could happen. As far as the electricity, in January of this year, I received a notice welcoming me to a new electric provider. I had not requested a new electric provider, so I went online to the website Power to Choose, I guess, and chose a new provider and didn't even think twice about it. Used the ESI ID number. At that time, I didn't know about 7321, so it wasn't something that I would have looked for to notice. I got new electric service and went on about it. So I don't know how my electric got changed to a new company or how the address was changed on my electric service, but I have copies of our water bill, which water was the very first utility that we had started when we moved onto the property, and it still states the service address and mailing address as 7327. So I'm not opposed to the new assignment of addresses, but ideally, I would prefer to keep the 7327. It's been what we've had for almost 15 years now, so I guess that's it.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak to this matter? Appearing to be none, then I will close the public hearing at this time and open it up for questions.
So, my office has been working on this issue for some time, and I know it's extremely frustrating. That's an understatement for both Mr. Sheffield and for the Smithermans. I know that you have had issues getting your mail for over a few months, and have worked with Congressman Wright's office on that. And so the option that's presented today was seen as a resolution that of all the options that were evaluated. And as you all know, there is a lot of work that went into getting us to this point, and working with the appraisal district, the 911 district, which Randy, you can speak more to it. Can you kind of share with us what the background has been, the work that you all have done, and even in working with the DA's office to come up with this as
Sure.
solution?
We have reached out as part of this process to the agencies that you mentioned, but at the same time, we also wanted to follow the guidelines of the City of Fort Worth's addressing standards, which is where those the spacing or the gaps basically in the addresses are coming from. We did share this with the appraisal district, with Tarrant County 911, the Postal Service, the Mansfield office, and our DA's office had input from pretty much everyone on this. And they have all been supportive of it.
Had there been discussion about the closeness from the 733 to the, is it 7323? Now that could potentially be an issue?
I don't know that one of the reasons why there was a change on the 7333 address is because originally you may notice at the top of the map, there's a 7331 address that was already allocated to that property that we did not catch in our earlier draft. And so obviously that would have been another confusing point. So we changed that to 7033, but we feel like the spacing is adequate.
And can you share with us, based off of Mr. Sheffield's request to maintain the 7327, at least for that one building that's kind of in the rear of the property, why that is not a feasible option?
We felt that as we were coming up with this proposal, that given the fact that there was so much confusion related to 7327 and the fact that the Postal Service is no longer providing service to that address, we felt it would actually continue the problem if we'd have left that address as an option.
So, are we going to, what are you gonna do when they build another building out there?
Are you referring to the commercial?
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like on the diagram, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it looks like on the diagram, you're putting an address on every building.
Yes.
So what happens when they build 10 more buildings, and are you gonna go to A, B, C, D, and E? Or what are you gonna do next?
Well, we'll have to follow the guidelines as we've been working from with the Fort Worth addressing standards, but probably so. We'll have to work that out likely with the appraisal district.
And how does 7331, which doesn't seem to me to have any access whatsoever to Gibson Cemetery Road, end up with an address on Cemetery? Where is it? But so this little line right here means nothing?
Oh, that's not.
I know that's not the road, but it's the plat probably, right?
Right.
So there's not is there an easement in there someplace that gives it access to 7331?
Yeah, let me check. Mr. Glazio can help us with that because I think he had some conversations with regard to that particular property.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like there's 2 or 3 in there. You don't have easements shown on this plat, right?
Judge, for the record, Mike Galizio, Transportation Services. The 7331 property, which is actually to the north of the Smitherin and Sheffield residents, we were actually surprised when Ms. Smitherin brought to our attention that address was assigned 7331 Gibson Cemetery Road because the driveway access is actually off Bennett Lawson Road. So that created an additional level of insecurity about assigning that address to the Smitherins because it appears that 7331 has been assigned according to the TAD records to that address. So we wanted to avoid another conflict with assigning an address. So what we did next was we contacted TAD, the post office, and 911 district and asked them what's the next available odd number address that is available, and that would be 7333. All of them indicated that address has not been assigned, and so it's open for assignment. The other issue I want to add on 7327 is we were notified by the post office on November 1st that their legal department has indicated that they will not deliver address to the mail service to that particular address until everything has been resolved. So that was another reason we didn't want to assign 7327 to either property, because the post office legal department advised us not to do so.
So if the fire truck comes, who owns 7331?
That right now, according to the records, it would be the property behind both residences to the north.
It didn't tell me who owns it, that just tells me where it is.
That we don't, I don't know the answer to that, sir.
And so if the fire truck comes, how are they gonna get to 7331?
Probably from the existing driveway they have now off Bennett Lossing.
So why are we giving an address on Gibson Cemetery Road?
To that property, we are not.
Well, then why have we put 7331 up there on our plat?
That's the current address.
That's the current address.
Do we have something that shows us what we're proposing as addresses for all these pieces of buildings and pieces of property?
Yes, that would be the map attachment to your report, and I have copies too.
Why don't you show me that, because I don't think
You see 7327?
I don't see anything now because my screen just went on. I don't know if it's the same.
So this is what they should be passing around.
Let's get through that.
So can I get a copy of this, whatever it is?
I'll take a larger one. Thank you. So this is what the version that you were looking at. This is 7331.
Well, here's 7331 up here.
The previous version, why we got corrected? This is the corrected one. It's just 73.
Randy? What is the, on 7327, what is this bold black line indicate? Is that an easement?
That's a shadow. Where are we talking about?
That is actually a fence line.
Huh?
That's actually a fence line.
Okay.
That's a shadow.
Okay.
How did you get these addresses so screwed up? Must be your fault.
Yeah.
Where are the easements? So this is what you're proposing. Then why is 7331 shown up at the top as something that we're proposing for a plot of land that doesn't have any accessibility to Gibson Road and has got accessibility to this, whatever the road is that's out there?
We're not, everything that's in yellow is what's being proposed. These addresses in the fallout boxes.
Okay, so the Smitherman would be 7333, 7335. And did I understand that they don't like it, but they would accept it?
That's right.
Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if y'all had any other questions.
Well,
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the address changes as proposed.
Second.
That's doing away with 7327.
That's correct.
And 7327 goes away?
Goes away.
until they run out of numbers sometime in the distant future.
And it becomes 7319, 7323, 7315, all those
With the street numbers.
numbers. Okay. Okay.
got a motion and we have a second. I'm anal. There's just a little bit of anal in me. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's gonna happen to 7331. Is it gonna be is 7331 gonna be an address?
That's existing now.
It's not a.
Well, 7327 is existing now. We're making changes.
But we're not suggesting changes be made to 7331.
Okay. Somebody knows who owns 7331 because I saw two hands go up.
Lumber Miller LP. It's a group out of Germany.
Well, they're out of Germany, then I don't care.
Thank you.
They ain't gonna get here before we figure this out.
Some of us have heritage from Germany.
You wanna give them a call at this point in time?
I can speak the language.
So the thing that does is it and I don't guess there's no structure on this property. It's a sand pit. Okay, so we're probably safe that if there was a 911 call there and somebody tried to figure out where it was, I just don't know what 911's where they're gonna send somebody if something happens out there and they need to send somebody.
Well, I can tell you from my understanding of 911 is that they actually will pinpoint each address, each structure in their database, and that's something that's rather unique to their. Right, that's rather unique to them, but they actually will pinpoint the actual structure. That's the reason why they are supportive of there being separate addresses for each structure.
But if something happens in that thing called 7331, is that what's gonna ping to 911, or is it going to be that some address off that road, or I guess that road that goes to some other street?
Bennett Lawson, I believe.
There's no address on Bennett Lawson for this road. It's just a driveway with no address.
Off of 7331. I'm sorry, I'm not.
The question is,
There is a driveway from some road, Bennett, whatever, that goes into this property, and that's the road that everybody uses to go into this property. And yet we're not addressing that address. We don't even have an address on that. I think I hear you saying.
So 7331 exists currently.
so let me try to help. Okay?
Matter of dispute.
Yeah. So, first of all, 7331 is not part of this public hearing, okay? If there's an issue that we need to address with 7331, and we'll need to go back to TAD and talk with them, and then we'll bring you a recommendation. But as far as what we're talking about today, 7331 is simply the property to the north that has an existing address.
That's correct.
My argument would be that we're talking about addresses along Gibson Cemetery Road. And that's an address along Gibson Cemetery Road, so we are talking about it.
Well, Judge, the only reason I say that is because we need to make sure what the ramifications are if we go ahead and attempt to change that at a future date.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lengthen this thing out anymore. Anybody got any other questions? Have I taken it long enough? You want me to spend a little bit more time on this?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because you're agreeing. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously, but I hope that we get it squared away because I don't think we're there.
We're gonna go talk with Tad about that.
Thank you.
Well, and I want to thank Mr. Sheffield and the Smithermans for coming down, for providing your input. I know this doesn't make either one of you totally whole, but it's somewhat of a fresh start, and hopefully things will be easier moving forward.
Do we have other things like this and that we need, I mean, it seems like out of this whole deal, we figured out that TAD's not addressing, are not supposed to be doing it, and we are.
So
Do we have other issues where we need to be addressing?
I'm not aware of any at the moment.
However, but what we are doing, because the Commissioner's Court is the one who has the authority to set addresses in the unincorporated, we're talking with TAD to assign an address, which would be simply a recommendation that will come to this Commissioner's Court for approval in the future.
Okay.
Your Honor, on the administrator section, we have the first two, Ms. McMillan is going to address the court on those issues.
Turn your mic on.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The first item I have for you today is in regards to a nomination of Benny Keith Company as a Texas Enterprise Project. As you may remember, Benny Keith is in the process of expanding its Fort Worth food service operations by adding approximately 185,000 square feet to its existing DFW regional headquarters and investing over $29 million in total construction and new machinery and equipment at that location. Benny Keith currently employs 855 full-time employees at this location, and this expansion is enabling them to add over 283 new employees. In June of this year, the Commissioners Court did approve a 7-year tax abatement of up to 50% of the added value for this expansion project. Benny Keith is now requesting the county's nomination of a portion of the project as a Texas Enterprise Project, which will allow Benny Keith to compete for one of the state's limited enterprise project designations. If awarded the designation by the state, Benny Keith will then be eligible to receive sales and use tax refunds on the state portion of the taxes paid for items purchased and used at the Fort Worth facility. As part of a qualified enterprise project, Benny Keith will also be committing that at least 25% of the new employees be residents of an enterprise zone, be economically disadvantaged, or be veterans. Since the refund of the state portion of sales and use taxes are state taxes only, there is no negative impact to local tax collections. Under the Texas Enterprise Project program, Tarrant County is eligible to receive 9 enterprise project designations per biennium. The new biennium just started September 1st of this year, and to date we have used none of our designations. Based on the size of the investment and number of jobs for this project, it will only take 1 designation. Under the Enterprise Project Act, it requires a county making a nomination for a project located within municipal boundaries to enter into an interlocal agreement with that municipality, which is Fort Worth in this instance, providing for each entity's approval of the nomination and designation of administration of the project. The City of Fort Worth has approved the interlocal agreement that is before you today, which approves the nomination of the project and Tarrant County's administration of the designation. Nomination of Benny Keith for a state enterprise project designation will have no fiscal impact to Tarrant County. So today we're asking for the approval of a resolution nominating Benny Keith Company, Inc. as a Texas Enterprise Project, authorizing submittal of the enterprise project application and approval of the interlocal agreement with the City of Fort Worth for the nomination.
I move approval. As I said back in June, Benny Keith is a legacy company here in Tarrant County. We want them to be able to stay in Tarrant County and grow in Tarrant County, and this is one more step along that path.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously, or 4-1, excuse me. 4-0. Are you abstaining? Are you voting again? Or are you voting for?
I'm abstaining since I missed the discussion.
Okay, so it's 4-0-1.
Thank you. The next item I have is an approval of the use of tax-exempt financing issued by Public Finance Authority, a bond issuing commission of the state of Wisconsin, and the maximum principal amount of $19 million to be used by Wonderful Foundations to finance certain educational facilities located in Tarrant County, Texas. Public Finance Authority will be issuing these bonds on behalf of High Point Academy, a charter school with grades K through 12. They serve approximately 1,040 students, and they're located in White Settlement off of Jim Wright Freeway, 820. In order for these bonds to be issued and be tax exempt, the IRS code requires that the Commissioner's Court in which the facility is located just approve these solely for the tax exempt status, and we're asking for that approval today.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Members of the Court, we could go to item number 3. We're requesting that the Commissioners Court Approve a resolution in opposition to increasing the exemption or the elimination of the business personal property tax. I believe that you had previously discussed this issue with Mr. Schaffner. The Texas Senate during this last session considered the studying of economic dynamics on the current business personal property tax and to consider the economic and fiscal effects to increase exemptions to the business personal property tax versus its elimination. Just a quick note, in Tarrant County, the distribution between commercial or business tax versus residential is 41 to 58. In other words, the tax burden falls more heavily on residential areas than the commercial areas. And on top of that, the business personal property tax is the most heavily exempted tax category in Tarrant County. If there was an elimination of this particular tax, we would have to increase our tax rate by 3 cents. And other entities would also, in order to recoup the money. So what this resolution does, it states our opposition to this particular issue. We also, as we have in the past, are asking in this resolution for the Senate to authorize counties to do exemptions on dollar values versus percentage values. And so we are seeking the court's approval at this time of this resolution.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
If we can go to item number 4, this is the RFP for Program Management Services for JPS Health Network. They're the 2018 Capital Improvement Program. Mr. Phillips is here to address the court.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's requested that Commissioners Court approve the release of the JPS Health Network RFP number 2019-1202 for program management services related to the JPS Health Network 2018 Capital Improvement Program.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? I guess the only thing that, as I've looked through this, and one of the things we've talked about frequently, and I didn't feel like that we had it really focused on enough, is that getting a group in here who will look at all alternatives and not just the traditional, let's make a drawing of what we want to build, and then let's get a contractor to build it. We've had a number of folks who've talked about P3s, public-private partnerships, from a standpoint of maybe parking, maybe mental health, maybe power plant, and I really want to make sure that as we discuss or as we talk with this company or whatever company it will be that we end up ultimately going with to help us qualify or look at and prioritize our deals, that they are focused on at least looking at alternatives.
Yes, Judge. Part of this RFP is for this program management firm to provide a business analysis and financial modeling consultant. One thing that this successful program manager will be doing, they'll not only be looking at all the things that we've done in the past, the Blue Ribbon Committee recommendations, they'll be looking at the objectives of the JPS Health Network and the county. They'll be looking at constraints and capabilities regarding our internal resources, such as financial, physical resources, human resources, our information and time, but also the external resources regarding healthcare, other healthcare provider strengths, the higher education healthcare, and the P3. Yes, you mentioned about the parking facilities. You know, there is an option. JPS does have 63 acres at the campus. And maybe there's options to do possibly some retail and things of that nature as part of a structure to help make rent pay for some things and along those lines. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to stress that. We will make sure we stress that as part when we have the pre-proposal meeting here in a couple of weeks. We'll be advertising this RFP next Monday It'll be opening January 23rd, which is 52 days from now. Should give them plenty of time to address it. We'll address it in our pre-meeting. We'll do a tour of the campus, and we'll make sure they're aware of looking at other opportunities to not have to use bond money and JPS cash. Also, we're going to be hopefully getting it down to 3 or 4 of the short list of firms, and then be making presentations to the Planning Committee, the Board of Managers, and Commissioners Court. And again, you'll have the opportunity there. And once they're selected, we're going to be contracting for that planning portion of this effort. So that planning portion is what you're talking about, looking at those things regarding other options. So you'll have 3 or 4 opportunities to stress that in the future.
The other thing that has been mentioned by the stream of folks who kind of come through and talk is, again, looking at not, again, just drawing and building, but also looking at the whole life cycle of what we're doing and how we're approaching that.
Yes, Judge. Life cycle costs and things of that nature, part of their charge is to provide us a plan that's sustainable financially and operationally for the health network, and that will be part of that. Anything they present to us will need to be sustainable regarding life cycle costs of buildings, of course, but also the operational cost, which is the biggest part of it. But we will stress that in our pre-proposal meeting.
And I shared your same concerns, and I know we talked about that. So you had given some of the dates, like after this moves forward from this court meeting. When will we see the entirety of the schedule? It's on, this is on my marked up version, it's on page 43.
43,
yeah.
That looks like the entire, we're going to try to stay with those dates, Commissioner, but as far as contracting, it may take a little time, but it depends on who you select, is how long it takes to contract with them. And then once we contract with them, our goal is to have something to you delivered after the contract in 9 months, depending on the capabilities of who you hire. Hopefully it could be shorter.
I totally missed that page, my bad.
Okay, 43.
Thank you.
How does one get on the list to be notified of this opportunity?
What they'll need to do, Commissioner, we are advertising in the following locations: the Star-Telegram, the Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce. They can call them on the plan room. DFW Minority Business Council, their plan room. Also, Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, they have a plan room too. Any of those, Arlington Black Chamber of Commerce. Those are in addition to the normal construction type plan rooms that we typically would go. So any of those folks, or they can certainly call the county administrator.
Absolutely. Thank you, David.
Okie dokie.
One of the things is I'm looking through the total points and how we're going to allocate everything out from that perspective. I know that we have the hub, we have the SMWBE, but is it possible to give any credit to the fact that we're dealing local, that we're dealing with someone who, maybe it's 5 points, and maybe, and I want it to be more than we've got an executive suite space where whenever we come over here to have a meeting, we can bring you in and we can say, here's our office. But, even if it says we've got 2 or 3 people here that work here, 365 days out of the year and they have office hours. I see 43, but what I don't see in here anywhere is something that says we're going to give you any points if you've got a full-time office here.
Maintenance of a primary or regional headquarters in Tarrant County is 5 points.
Where is that?
Third one down, on page 43, third block. We could put in there that they used to be staffed.
Wait a minute. What's the how come my 43 is different than your 43?
I was looking at the same version too, the one I marked up. This is what was on our agenda.
This is on the court book.
Okay. So the 43 pack, the 150 pages you gave us previously is not the 150.
We sent this one out also. There's been some modifications, but this one was sent out probably last week or so.
Okay. So it is five, we've got 5 points.
Yes,
here.
sir. 5 points. That's maintenance and primary regional headquarters in Tarrant County. We'll make sure it's more than just a storefront.
Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. A huge step forward.
Did you know we got a new version? Did you figure this out?
I move to receive and file personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Good morning. I have one more item to seek your approval on. It's the approval of the IMED Services Agreement and the addendum to the IMED Services Agreement between Tarrant County and IMED Vision Care LLC and First American Administrators, Inc. This will be effective retroactively back to January 1st, 2019. Our IMED program is a fully insured program, and this is a contract for 48 months with 48-month rate guarantee. And I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Well, I know Mr. Beecham in here. He said he'd come back if Arkansas beat LSU. And there was a brief period in the first 2 minutes of the game when I think they may have had 3 points, but it went downhill soon after that. So take it away.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Willis.
We have 2 items for your consideration this morning. The first item is an award recommendation for RFP 2018-095, Case Management System for Criminal Courts Administration, awarding to Corrections Software Solutions in the amount of $153,040. And if approved, we're also seeking contract approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is regarding RFP number 2020-006, an annual contract for hair testing supplies and laboratory confirmation testing services for CSCD, awarding to the primary vendor Omega Laboratories and the secondary vendor AverHealth per contract terms.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McClellan.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The Sheriff's Office has one item before you today. It's the approval of the mutual aid agreement for various counties in Texas for our criminal interdiction unit.
Was we involved in that big marijuana bust that I read about?
I don't know which one you're referring to, but we have been involved in multiple major busts with regard to marijuana and methamphetamines.
Move approval.
Second.
I have some questions.
Okay.
So, can you share with me the vision for this mutual aid agreement?
Certainly, Commissioner. The vision for this mutual aid agreement is with regards to multiple counties and interdiction of major drug traffic ways for 35, the major corridors, 75, 35, 30, coming north and south and east and west through the state of Texas. And that is the main focus of this goal, is to hit major highways and look at major incidents where we're taking down large portions of marijuana, methamphetamines, crack cocaine, heroin, things like that. That's what the main focus of this interdiction unit is.
And so this is obviously new for us in Tarrant. Is it new elsewhere in the state? Is there other mutual aid agreements that you can point to?
Well, we have various mutual aid agreements now with regards to other areas. This one is new from the fact that this is the first one of its kind. The Denton County Sheriff, Collin County Sheriff, and Sheriff Wayburn were the ones that created it, and since then they have taken this model and we've actually presented it to other states as well as other areas of Texas as to how they should go about setting this type of interdiction unit up.
So how will the effectiveness of this agreement be determined? How are you going to gauge? I mean, aside from obviously people being arrested and drugs being off the street and all of that, but
Well, that's exactly how we measure this, is taking large amounts of drugs off the streets and making it safer, arresting bad guys. That's exactly how we're going to judge this interdiction unit.
so, one of my concerns that I have is in terms of the fiscal impact, that it says that the costs are unknown. And I understand that at this present time, there's not a request for, for any equipment or personnel. How is it that you'll implement this agreement without any additional costs?
We are not asking for any additional costs. We are actually using part of our CNET task force with our actual drug people that are doing drug busts now, and they're going to be rotating throughout that task force throughout the month, 3 to 4 days throughout the month, various areas, including Tarrant County. Just like the other counties are going to be coming into Tarrant County and doing the same with us for assistance. So that is how we plan on using this. We don't anticipate any new funds or any new positions or any new equipment needed for this.
But should you need it, where would the funding for that come from?
That would come from one of two places, forfeiture or general fund, but again, we're not looking at budgeting anything for this task force with regards to any new equipment needed at this time.
In short of taking, if it does, you're talking about right now that you have the personnel, you have them through our narcotics task force. So that means you're not going to go be pulling folks from other areas to supply or to fulfill responsibilities in this particular MOA. They're going to come out of that narcotics task force.
You are correct. We're not asking for any new positions, and we're not asking transfer any PCN numbers. This is going to be an extra task force duty that we're looking at participating in.
Okay.
Chief, I'd feel a whole lot better about this if you said that drug interdiction was the sole purpose of this agreement rather than the main purpose of this agreement.
I hear what you're saying, Commissioner, and along with drugs, you're going to get other things. Human trafficking is going to be another major component of this. So there's various, when you got bad guys, they do bad things. There's going to be various components to that, but that is the main focus that we are looking at, is with regards to major drug trafficking in the state of Texas.
The attachment A, Exhibit A, limits the activities of this task force to drug interdiction and human trafficking solely.
All right. It does not have an immigration focus at all.
It does not have an immigration focus at all. No, sir.
Thank you.
I still remain concerned about the cost, and I understand what you're saying, but if you're saying that the only way to gauge effectiveness is, yes, we're catching bad guys and we're getting drugs off the street, how else in numbers on paper will it be measured if this program is effective, and then what the costs actually are, and then what the additional costs may be. I'm not comfortable with it just being either the forfeiture fund or general fund, so help me kind of reconcile that.
I would need a little bit more clarification on what you're asking, Commissioner.
So if you all have shared this program, if I heard you correctly, so let me know if I didn't. If you all have shared this as a model elsewhere in the nation to do, how did you do that? What did you show as this is an effective mutual aid agreement, or a model to use, rather?
Well, this task force has been operating for over a year at this point. We're just now asking to be joined in with it, and it's taken down major amounts of methamphetamines, heroin, crack cocaine, marijuana. I believe the 113 pounds of methamphetamines that we took down recently in Tarrant County was as a result of this interdiction unit working in Tarrant County with us, in association with us, inside Tarrant County. So when you're at, I guess I'm trying to get clarification with regards to what you're asking for. Budget, we're using our personnel to go out and traffic, search and take down human traffickers and major methamphetamines, major drug usage. That's how we're going to measure the successfulness of the program, is whether or not the streets are safer because of it. Budget-wise,
so like weekly reports, monthly reports, quarterly reports, where you say because of the work of this task force, or because of our inclusion in this mutual aid agreement, we can see ...
Well, I'm I'm quite certain that we'll be willing to brief you. A lot of these things we can't discuss in public. So I'm happy to get with the sheriff and work on doing briefings for individual commissioners at that time with regard to security concerns and things. So, yes.
I'm a little concerned in that twice you've indicated that things are already going on that implies that we're already in this agreement.
No, the other counties have been actively participating in this. The only areas that they have worked with us is when we've requested their assistance inside Tarrant County at this time.
Well, how can you bring them in here without an MOU?
Well, they can assist, law enforcement agencies can assist in Tarrant County if we have, just like any other.
Why aren't we even talking about this MOU if y'all can just go off and do it on your own without any?
If it's furthering investigations of the unit, then I guess my question would be, that happens occasionally where our investigations lead outside the county, and our people.
You indicated earlier that you and Collin and Denton County had done this, and it was the first in its nation to have done this.
Worked on the actual program to create the MOU. We hadn't been part of it yet. We're asking to join it now, yes. But the actual base program was started and discussed, and we actually went down and worked with the legislature to make sure it was legal to participate in this MOU prior to bringing it to you.
And I'm supportive of going forward with just the drug and with the human trafficking, but I do want quarterly updates, and I don't care whether we have them here. If that's not appropriate, then we can have them enclosed if the DA's office tell us that we can do that. But I would like to have a regular update as to exactly what the results are. And just as we've already stated, I want to be absolutely sure we're not pulling people from other areas of this county to supply or to man this task force other than from that narcotics unit. And
we are happy to help provide any information you'd like. Sir.
You said that wasn't going to happen, and I expect that not to happen.
I think maybe the key to it is next budget go around that we don't hear you up here telling us you need 6 guys or six new people for this new MOU we did, or we need them somewhere else because we took 3 or 4 and put them in this one.
No, I understand completely what you're saying, and yes, and I will tell you, Judge, the sheriff is more than happy to, he has very good communication with all of you, and he's more than happy to brief you on anything you would like with regards to our office as a whole, not just specifically this, but also this.
Well, I just want to get into a regular routine of doing that as opposed to it being kind of a hit and miss. And so, Mr. Manius, if you would get with the DA's office and make sure that we either schedule this on a quarterly, I would say at least quarterly here in the beginning.
Okay, sure will.
And there should be an inclusion of costs, whether not necessarily additional costs, but
what its cost is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
Yes, Your Honor, I've got 2 interlocal agreements, one with the city of Benbrook for various streets, and one with the city of Everman for Christopher Drive from Marlene to Everman Parkway. Those are 9L1, A, B, C, and D. They have been approved by the District Attorney's Office as to form, and I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments?
Yes, Your Honor. To the Human Services Advisory Committee, I move that we appoint Judy Ketchum, who you all know, who is a resident of Precinct 4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
A motion second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Maynes?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have two updates for you this morning. The first one is on the Election Day Transportation Program. Ms. Camareno is going to address that. This is just a very brief update.
Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I would like to provide, as Mr. Maney said, a very brief briefing on the Election Day Transportation Program that you all approved in October. There were 599 fixed route bus trips taken, 17 paratransit trips scheduled, and 56 on-demand trips in VIA in Arlington on Election Day. The total cost to the county was $1,733.50. Because of the timing of the approval in the program, we had only a couple of weeks to get the word out, so should the court decide to continue this program in future years, there will be more time, I guess, for outreach, specifically targeting elderly and mobility impaired riders of this transit service. If there are any additional questions after today, I'm more than happy to work with you and your staff to address those. Real quickly, we did receive great media coverage considering some of the other Election Day media. 9 articles in various local publications, over 25,000 impressions on Nextdoor, and over 1,500 impressions on Twitter. So we did get the word out. And I think that we'll see an increased number of riders taking advantage of the program if you decide to continue it in the future.
What was our total cost on that?
$1,733.50.
How many riders?
599 plus 17 plus 56.
So that's like $3 a ride about?
The fixed route rides are $2.50, and the paratransit rides are $4. The on-demand rides are $3.
Were these all over the county?
Yes, sir.
That's the cheapest.
I'd like to see us continue
ride.
to do this.
That's cheap.
I would like to see us continue it as well. I would like for us to backdate a timeline so that, to your point, right, all of this came together fairly quickly, and it was good that we got the outreach that we were able to do, but obviously leading into the primary and expecting huge voter turnout. I think we'd want to use every avenue available to us to let people know that this is a service that we're providing.
Okay.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So push back the timeline, do whatever you need to do. I think we're going to be supportive of it.
Yes, sir.
Members of the court, on the item B, this is a discussion concerning the auxiliary and assistant court coordinator salaries. Ange is here.
Greetings.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Ange.
So we are here to brief the court on a request for the civil, criminal, family, and juvenile auxiliary and assistant court coordinators. This request is that they be made merit increase eligible. So to give you some background on that, there are 10 of these positions. There are 6 in criminal, 1 in civil, 1 in the family courts, and then 2 assistants in the juvenile courts. These are unclassified positions. In this case, that means they are appointed positions, and they are not subject to civil service. However, they are graded. These are graded as unclassified grade 17s. As unclassified positions, they're not eligible for merit. They are eligible for the unclassified increases on October 1st. Those are typically 3%. So they're not eligible for merit increases on January 1st. We have a couple of handouts. So on the first page, if anybody wants a paper copy, I do have some paper copies. The first page of the handout lists the estimated maximum cost depending on the amount that the judges would assign to these individuals.
of becoming merit eligible. So you see the list of positions there in the far right column. It has the maximum cost.
So that annual salary that is there right now is what they're currently making prior to any increase, whether it be the 3% or whether it be, it's just no increase, correct?
They've already received the 3%. The request is that they receive merit in addition to the 3%.
So the 47 then represents a 3% increase over the prior year, and that went into effect October the 1st.
Correct.
And does the does the 2,730, would that be the maximum they could get? Is that another 3% or is that another 6%?
That is 6%. The merit range being 0 to 6%.
But the fact that they've already gotten 3%, wouldn't that kind of impact them someplace?
It certainly could. The request from the courts is that they be eligible for merit on top of the October 1st salary increase.
And the request is that they begin in the future then to be evaluated.
That's correct.
And that's because judges love to evaluate people so much already.
They do love it, yes.
How many people do the judges currently evaluate?
It would really just be their judges, bailiffs, which is a handful. There's a handful in the civil and family courts, and I believe criminal court administration takes over administration of that for the criminal courts.
What's the rationale for treating these unclassified employees differently from other unclassified employees?
Right. So there are a couple of different reasons depending on which court or group of courts is asking. So with criminal courts, these grade 17s, unclassified grade 17s, work in the same department as classified grade 17s. So they have grade 17 magistrate support officers or MSOs that are merit eligible. They find that there is a perceived inequity with these unclassified individuals getting the 3% or the unclassified increase instead of the merit increases. So that's that group. The others, the civil, the judicial, and the family, believe that their positions act more closely to court coordinators, and therefore their salaries should be closer to full-time court coordinators. With merit, the salaries do move up more quickly than they do with unclassified increases, or at a higher rate, I guess.
Commissioner Figures? Now, Helen, are the dollars to do this in the budget for this year?
There was still a pending item of reclasses in the approved budget. I do not believe it covers the entire cost because that was just a reclass versus them being able to go all the way up to 6% on the merit increase.
Right, and the reclass was proposed for the criminal auxiliary, so the other 4 positions in family, civil, and juvenile were not included in that effort.
So why are we talking about it?
This is the request that's being made. There was a request made, as Helen has already alluded to, with the fiscal year. When we went through the reclass process, we determined that the reclass would not even get to the job evaluation committee because the changes in the position were not significant enough. So this is the next solution, I guess you could say. There's been a couple of solutions, and it's taken Greg and I and the other court some time to arrive at a final decision as to how they wanted to handle this.
What do the regular court coordinators get? Do they get a 3% every year?
3%, yes.
So in effect, in 5 years or 6 years, if we do this, because I just anticipate, again, because of the judges' love to do evaluations, that everybody's liable to get 6%. And so what are we going to do in about 5 or 6 years when the auxiliary coordinators are making more than the court coordinators?
I don't believe that will happen, as the grade 17 maximum is below and probably will remain below the grade 40 minimum.
So then eventually when we get them to the maximum, which we've got, based upon what you just said, has got to be pretty quick, this is going to be a moot point anyway because they're going to go back to 3%.
Or whatever the structure moves, yes.
And right now, the difference is between 40, for the most part, our auxiliary court coordinators are making about 48, and the regular court coordinators are making somewhere between, I guess on the low side, 60, which I'm 66. Don't they have levels? Isn't it like level 1, 2, and 3? Or did we do away with that?
We
now?
did away with that about 5 or 6 years ago.
So if we did away with it, is that because at the point in time we did away with it, we didn't make everybody equal and we just continue to give them 3%, and eventually the ones that are making higher are gonna be, because we've got we got more than 3 groups. How come we've got so wide of a range in what our court coordinators are making? Because I really thought we had tried to keep them all in the same bailiwick.
Well, the ones that you see earning the 81,000s are the ones who have been here almost 30, 40 years. So they have over time gotten higher salaries, and kind of because of all the past changes, the career ladder adjustments, all of that, their salaries are going to be higher. They're all within that grade 40 range. They're going to go higher, but they're not going to go a lot higher. The newbies are down on that 66,000 figure.
What is the grade 40 range?
Let me get that for you.
Grade 40 range is, minimum is 58.8 to a maximum of 82.7.
That's old.
That's old?
Yes.
It is old.
The minimum is $66,270 and change. The maximum is $93,098 and change.
You said the minimum 66,270. Is that 10% above the minimum for higher end?
No, they actually don't have a higher end range. That was part of the arrangement we made back 5 or 6 years ago. So their minimum and their higher end rate are the same. They wanted all of the court coordinators to start at the same salary, regardless of whether they were coming from another county, inside the county. They wanted them all to start at the same salary.
So that was the motivation for the change 5 or 6 years ago, is because of that, or?
Yes, yes.
And what is the higher end for an auxiliary court coordinator?
It is $47,715 and change.
20 cents change to be exact.
Yes, that's correct.
What's y'all's pleasure?
It's kind of jumbled in my head right now, to be honest. I think I need a re-explanation.
Okay.
This is a briefing item, so what I think we're saying to you is we're not taking any action today.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be correct.
We did want to lay this out to you, though,
And we
because
will let the commissioner clear her head,
Okay.
along with the rest of us.
If there are any questions, though, please feel free to contact me.
I will do that, Ange.
I think y'all have heard a couple of the comments, and I think we need a little bit more discussion about that. Do you have anything you want to add to this? And
Judge, Commissioners, this request has come, we came to you, the criminal courts came to you in March to try to address this salary issue. This is I can't speak to the other courts, but this is a crew of people that had assisted in the creation of the central magistration process and spent a year working really hard at that. And then they turned around and implemented TechShare case tracks March of last year. And the courts don't have a tool to reward these hardworking individuals that have gone above and beyond to ensure that due process has been implemented and the software has been implemented. And this is we went to you with one process. This is another process. I'm sure there are 3 or 4 other ways to look at this, but I've been My goal is to reward the people that have worked very hard to ensure that 2 major changes in the criminal justice system that got implemented was because of their hard work, and that was why we're here.
So how many of these positions fall under your purview?
There are 6. And the funding for this has been appropriated to however y'all choose to handle it. It's not going to impact the current fiscal year's budget. Yes, it will impact down the future, but I can't speak for the other courts on that.
Okay, so let me just throw out 3 concerns. One, you just talked about your 6, but in the proposal, everybody's in there. So, and then the other thing is that what you're talking about is, okay, and I very much appreciate all of the hard work, and I understand everything that's gone on in the whole, pretrial magistration, all the other stuff that's gone on this past year. But those things have happened previously when SAP was put in place, when other things were done, and I'm not going to disagree that we don't have a means by which to reward people for that extra work that they do in any given time period, whether it be a year, whether it be a couple of years, or whatever. And I don't know if there's a way to reward them, but what you're proposing here is not only a one-time, but it's a lifetime forward for the hard work that was put in this year.
I fully understand that, and that's why we approached it at a one time in March, and that was we were tasked to come up with another solution, and so that's what we're in the process of tasking with another solution. This may not be the solution, but we were tasked to come up with something different.
And I'm probably going to agree with you. I'm not sure this is it because it one puts the evaluation process back on the judges. I've said what I need to say about that. 2, it gives the potential of what you're requesting here gives a 9% increase to potentially to your 6, but it also gives it to the other 4. And I know I'm going to get calls from the other 4 saying, "Well, we worked hard too." I'll get judges that will call me from the other 4. And then it changes the whole pattern go forward from a standpoint of putting everybody back into the merit pool, which eventually, it may not be, you may hit to the maximum before you do that, but I think we're trying to do a one-time fix, but creating a lifetime problem.
I fully understand that, and that's
why
we attempted to do. That's why we came to you on a one-time fix, and we were tasked to do something different. So that's why we're here.
Okay, we still aren't there.
Understand?
Concerns. We still need to look at it and maybe talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
Oh, I got an announcement.
I forgot to give you that opportunity, didn't I?
I noticed that. First off, I want to send greetings to you all from Commissioner Marty Van Ravensway. I enjoyed lunch with her last week, and she sends her best to everyone. She's doing well. Just wanted to be sure to mention that. And then also, last Friday, Kelly and everyone on our team, our admin team, our garage team, United Way team, worked tremendously hard on our luncheon. So there are some thank yous that I would be remiss if I did not share. Wanted to thank the new CEO of United Way, Leah King, for being there and sharing her thoughts on what's next for United Way. And then, of course, my colleagues for their support, either in attendance or in donations. Want to thank our sponsors, LBL Architects, as well as additional sponsors. These are some of our favorite places to eat in Precinct 2, Danielita's on Pioneer Parkway, Lupe's Tex-Mex in Lincoln Square, and Marquez Bakery on Division. So, again, thank you for everyone who put in so much hard work, not just for the Precinct 2 event, but all of the events that occurred throughout the county.
Your food was wonderful.
Yeah.
No, it's good. With that, we will recess our open meeting.
Wait a minute. We have birthday cake out in the hall.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Somebody turned 70.
It's his birthday.
I'm telling you, we got birthday cake also. Where's Tom Wall?
We don't want to take it back.
Yeah. At this time, we will recess our open meeting to proceed to close to discuss items exempt under section 551.071